Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Good Deeds Note Investing podcast. I am your co-host, Jamie Bateman, and I'm flying solo as a host today. Unfortunately, Chris, at the last minute, was unable to make it. We both got a lot of snow last night, and I guess he lost power and internet. Likely excuse. No, I'm kidding. I know he really wanted to be here for this one because today we do have a special guest, Ryan Harris. And we'll get into Ryan's background. He's a former NFL player, Super Bowl champ. Ryan, how are you doing today?
Doing good, Jamie. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. I'm happy we could connect. I know you're a couple hours behind, so I appreciate you getting up for this. But you mentioned you're already up and at 'em. Is that right?
Yeah, I do. I have an ecosystem that includes broadcasting, and I do CBS digital hits for their CBS Sports HQ show Wednesdays and Fridays in the morning. So, as a father of three, a husband of one, the early morning is the only time I'm allowed, I believe, to have fun and to do some of my personal passions. So it's fun to jump on with you, talk financial literacy, talk money, and give
Absolutely.
some examples from my life and in the NFL locker room.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you joining us. There's so many different directions we could go with this. If financial literacy is really important to me as well, and but more importantly to our audience, and it's something that we need to really grow as a culture and country. I think there's so much growth that needs to happen there, but before we dive into all that, let's hit on your background a little bit for those who are unfamiliar with you. Who are you and what's your story?
I am Ryan Harris, 10-year veteran of the NFL, Super Bowl 50 champion. I'm a Notre Dame graduate as well, and I'm a broadcaster. I have a radio show here in Denver. I do a TV show with the Denver Broncos. I do the Notre Dame football radio games. I also do NFL games with Westwood One. I talked about my work with CBS. I'm also a mortgage broker and a public speaker and a best-selling author. So I got a little ecosystem working here in retirement, and I'm thrilled to stay busy.
That's really cool. I mean, this is definitely outside of our typical, guest profile, I guess, if you will. But there again, it all ties back to some of the things we're going to get into: mindset, leadership, financial literacy. So 10 years in the NFL, can you hit on that a little bit more, a little more specifics there?
Yeah, so I got drafted in 2007 to the Denver Broncos, got fired from them in 2011, went to the Houston Texans for 2 years, then the Kansas City Chiefs for a year. And then the Kansas City Chiefs said, Ryan, we love you, but we don't think there's any football left in you. So then I went back to the Denver Broncos with my coach from the Houston Texans, Gary Kubiak. We won Super Bowl 50, finished my career in Pittsburgh then. After that, 10 years, 9 surgeries, 4 on my back, 1 total toe replacement, 5 surgeries to save my leg below my knee. Called it quits, and fortunately, just chose my mindset throughout all those surgeries, throughout the different obstacles I had to overcome from college to the NFL, and also the obstacles I had to overcome beyond my career, right? I mean, retiring at 33, I don't want my kids see me sitting on the couch waiting for the next slate of TV shows, right? So deciding how I wanted to make an impact in my community, deciding how I wanted to bring value to others. And so I chose my mindset in doing that. And that's what my book is on, and just really trying to continue to move. I love the Japanese concept of Kaizen, constant improvement. So I walk that line of self-acceptance and constant improvement every day.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I mean, I certainly have not had that number of injuries or surgeries or anything, but I have, dealt with some of that myself, and it's not easy. And again, not saying it was the same level by any stretch, but it's just, there's definitely, it's so easy with fantasy football and things like that to be like, oh, is this guy in or out? Does he have COVID or not? He's not a human.
Basically, yeah.
But I can't imagine. That sounds like that's a whole lot of obstacles you overcame. So will you mind drilling down into the mindset that allowed you to overcome those obstacles?
When you win the Super Bowl, everything you believe about yourself comes true for other people. And I want others to have that moment in their life. And I was only able to be there by choosing my mindset. And I did so with the words, I am, I can, I will. I was knocked out of my cleats in my like fifth practice at Notre Dame. And I just said to myself, I am here because I can play football. I will focus on this one drill tomorrow and knock this guy back. And fortunately, the guy I was going against didn't do anything different than what he had done, kicking my tail the previous 5 practices. But those same teammates of mine are going, ooh, ooh, kind of questioning about me. We're now like, ooh, okay, Ryan Harris can play. And that ended up turning around my career. It saved my career in the NFL when I was arrogant and unwilling to learn with the Denver Broncos. And then I was released. Never been more embarrassed in my life. And I had to tell myself, I am never going to lose my job again because of my unwillingness and my arrogance. I can ask questions. I can eliminate distractions. I can focus on the craft that I love and want to be a part of. I will be a champion. And I even said it the night before the Super Bowl. I am terrified. My greatest achievement is going to be my greatest failure, but I'm also ready. I'm excited. I am prepared. I can go out there and put on my pads. I can knock the crap out of somebody. I will be a champion. So I really used that throughout the 17 years that were formative for myself, my career, and my future. And with 1,600 players playing in the NFL, only 53 will call themselves champions this year. And it's all because of mindset. And it's a choice each of us makes every day.
Yeah, that's really good. I mean, and I think that's a struggle, I think, to find that balance. You obviously hit, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it sounds like you kind of hit rock bottom when you were released. And so there's an element of humility, there that you had to accept. It sounds like, but then you were able to build back with that humility still existing some real confidence. So I think that's a struggle for a lot of people, is to find that balance, or, how am I confident and humble at the same time versus being cocky and maybe not as humble. So I just from the outside looking in and being a sports fan and former athlete, it's that's a tough one, I think, to overcome mentally, to find that right balance there. So that's really good. So then you've post NFL, you've already touched on it some, but you're really passionate about financial literacy and what else? What's your life look like after the NFL?
Well, less stress, more fun, right? That's the number one thing. But,
Nice.
78% of NFL football players are bankrupt and either chemically dependent or divorced 2 years after they're done playing football.
That's crazy.
I am somebody who blew their first $1 million. My first year in the NFL, I made over a cool $1 million, and I did not know what to do with it. I gave money away. People stole money from me. I didn't invest. I didn't do the things you're supposed to do. And one of my degrees from Notre Dame is in economics and policy, right? So just the behavioral side of having money, understanding that saving money will be the hardest thing you'll ever do as an adult, right? When you have the money to go buy something you want, how do you stop yourself? So I'm really big on encouraging people to choose their mindset, choose their language. I had a buddy who just was going through a divorce, and we were on the phone. I can't do this. I can't do that. I can't do this. I can't do that. I said, well, what can you do? And he kind of just took a breath, and I can still be a good father. I can make sure my kids want for nothing. I can focus on the positive. I can smile even when I don't want to. And now he started moving, right? So I want to encourage people, because so often, we find ourselves around people when an obstacle presents itself. They say, oh, told you something would happen, or maybe it's not for you, or why don't you calm down like I'm living my life, and that's not the way to win. And that's not really what you want to do. You will scare the crap out of people who are living an average life if you try and reach for your greatness. And I want to encourage you to do so. The world's a better place when you make the impact in the way you're capable of. And all of us are far more capable than we know of producing, of engaging, of connecting with others. And it's my passion to encourage people to choose their mindset, create better leaders for the next generation, and talk about financial literacy so we can have safer communities, more intelligent communities, and less crime.
Absolutely. No, I love all this, as far as just taking ownership of your personal financial situation, taking ownership of your situation, your larger situation, and I love it. So what do you say? So my mother is a retired school teacher, public school teacher, and we've had these not debates, but just kind of, I come from, the maybe the public school system that I'm used to or that I've been exposed to didn't necessarily do the best job of teaching financial literacy. And I still believe there's a lot of room for improvement. But she would say, well, we tried, but the kids weren't ready for it or weren't open to it. So what would you say to that, that kind of debate? I mean, did you find that in the NFL? Were there support systems, but the individual players oftentimes weren't open to it?
No, the NFL actually has no financial training that they provide their players, and it shocks a lot of fans to learn
That's
that
crazy.
actually NFL teams it benefits them if you are not financially literate, right? I mean, Jamie, if I'm willing to pay you $3 million, but you're broke, right,
Mhm.
and I offer you $650,000 with a $50,000 signing bonus that'll be in your account next week, what are you doing? Are you
Hmm.
holding out for $3 million? And so had you been financially, have you made financial moves, owning what you buy the stocks that you own? If you got an Apple phone and you like going to Starbucks on the way to Target, own those stocks. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Look at real estate. I'm a real estate investor. We have a couple of residential multifamily properties. That's huge. And if anybody says kids aren't listening, that's a lie. Everyone wants to talk about money. If you talk about money, right, everybody's listening, because the wealthy don't talk about it as a matter of as manners, right? And then the
Hmm.
middle class doesn't like talking about it because much of the middle class has debt, and
Hmm.
the lower socioeconomic stratus, I mean, they don't even have the time to think
Hmm.
about what you could do with the amount of money that many people make. So the important thing is to empower people, right? Save
Hmm.
60% of every $100 you make. Own what you buy. Know the difference between cost and price. Now, that new iPhone's a $1,300 price,
Hmm.
but the
Hmm.
cost of that iPhone is whatever it takes to feed your mouth, entertain your eyes, and keep you active per month, and then the $1,300, right? So that's
Hmm.
about depending on where you live, that could be anywhere from a $3,500 phone to a $7,500 phone, right? So
That's a
it's
good point.
so important to understand that. And nobody's talking to our kids about this. And there are so many studies that show when you are financially literate, you increase your leverage power, your leverage ability in negotiations, you actually increase your overall earnings. And it's very simple things we can do that make a huge difference in our life. I'm somebody who didn't know it could pay down debt. That can make a huge difference for you. So I love being able to do that in the different realms that I'm in, talk about it on my radio show, help people when they're purchasing their home, or talk about it to youth and other organizations, as I did with Google. It's fun to talk money with people and encourage people to choose their mindset with money as well.
Hmm. I love it. The way I personally view money is it's really important. It's very powerful. It's kind of like, in some ways in my mind, it's kind of like the internet. It could be used for good or for bad, or in between, right? But it's not going away, and so it doesn't do you any good to bury your head in the sand and just kind of pretend that money isn't important. So I love the mindset piece. So our audience is primarily mortgage note investors, within the real estate investing space. Um, and obviously we're not going to drill down into the specifics of note investing, on this episode, but as a mortgage note investor starts to scale their business, that's exactly what it is. It's a business. So, you know, I think we have about seven in the 70s as far as mortgage notes. Chris may own in his different entities, I don't know, 250 mortgage notes at this point. But at some point, you've got to figure out, how do I scale, right? And so what I'm getting to is, I've found more and more every day, my focus is on leadership, team building, and that kind of thing. So how would you address our audience in that sense, regardless of whether they're investing in mortgage notes or whatever, but they're building a small business? What experience do you have that you could enlighten us with there?
Well, number one, you need other people for your success, right? I think that's the biggest thing that high performers forget. And that can be players and coaches. It happens in the NFL every day, but the good coaches in the NFL, they understand they're a part of their team, right? I mean, Gary Kubiak is one of my favorite coaches that I ever had. And
Former
he
Raven
and I,
coach, by the way, right?
yeah,
Didn't he,
yep.
didn't
And
he
he and
coach with the
I,
Ravens?
we had some big discussions sometimes on the field. Hey, Gary, pull your head out of your tail. I know you're a quarterback, but run the bleeping ball, right? I mean, those are the kind of things. And you know what he did? He did it. So, I mean, I credit to Gary Kubiak how he listened, and the great coaches in the NFL listen to the players on the field. You have naive experts everywhere around you. Use them and empower them. I mean, we just lost John Madden, a Titan in the NFL. And one of the things that have come out are all the stories of people that he would, when he was with if you were on his broadcast team, he'd bring you on his bus, right? Once a year, he'd bring you on his bus and things like that. But so often I think people believe that their independent success matters most. I'm here to tell you, as a Super Bowl champion, you will never reach elite performance without the help of others. Jeff Bezos needed his wife to help start Amazon, right? I mean, Warren Buffett's been married for over 30 years, right? 40, 50 years. So, I mean, your success depends on other people. Bad leaders focus on themselves and believe it's their success. Great leaders encourage others, empower others, lift them up, let them fail, let them succeed again after failure. And great leaders seek solutions. So if you're going to lead to win, and that means including others, leading with examples of your past life, and making sure other people want to be around you and feel a part of your success. I mean, what coach in the NFL have you ever heard, Jamie, that said, "I'm so happy I won the Super Bowl. It was a tough season, and thank you so much, fans." Right? But a lot of us do that in our personal life. We're the head coach of a team, or we're the leader of a team, and we think it's our success. Absolutely not. You look as foolish as that coach would. Credit your team, reward your team, and take care of your team.
Yeah. And then when things go wrong, take ownership of that, right? Take responsibility.
And don't panic. I mean, hey, there's going to be an interception in just about every game in this NFL the weekend, right? And every game has bad plays. Bad plays happen. Bad coaches, bad leaders, they focus on that. How could you make that mistake, Jamie? What do you think? Well, hey, Jamie, we need you to play, man. Hey, I believe in you. Hey, you understand now what you're supposed to do? Let's go finish this. I mean, it's not just failure. Failure is a certainty, right? How you react, that's the variable that dictates your success.
No, that's great. So as we move toward the end of the show here, can you touch on what does your, personal investing strategy look like right now? And so not so much your business and all that stuff, but what's your approach to your own financial situation currently? You mentioned some real estate stuff. Is that right?
Yeah, and Jamie, it's changed for me because you're talking to a retiree, right? I'm a retiree, so anybody looking at retirement, let me tell you what you need right now: income, stable income. So I love real estate. I love residential real estate as it kicks you that income. But I'm a huge believer in value stocks, right? I mean, when is Starbucks going to stop making money? When is Disney going to stop making money, right? And so for me, I had this period of time where I really saved 80% of every $100 I made, and just invested over time. That's done well for me, but now it's about, I love my plan, and I encourage everyone to have a plan, because if you're like me, Jamie, you get a bunch of offers every week to join into a fund or a group. But my question always is, how much money am I making month one? And that answers everything I need. Because if your investment doesn't make me income month one, then I'm looking somewhere else, because I am a income investor now as I turn into retirement, where I was a growth investor during my career.
That makes a lot of sense. And it really, again, it depends on your personal situation, right? If you're making $500,000, $700,000 a year, you may not need that income, right? And you may not even want that income right now from a tax standpoint. But it really, and that's one thing I just love about real estate and notes. And again, goes back to taking ownership of your own situation. But market conditions change and your own situation will change. But there's more than one way to skin this cat. And so your approach shouldn't be identical to somebody who's currently in the NFL, maybe, So I love it. And so what kind of like projects or books or, what are you learning from these days?
Well, I'm a huge reader. So right now I'm reading that Will Smith book. I highly recommend it for anybody who's looking
Okay.
just to hear a personal story of success. I'm also learning a lot about cryptocurrency and
Nice.
blockchain technology more specifically. So, people I talk to, calling Notre Dame games, one of the benefits is that I get to talk to many wealthy people and many people who have done things differently. And one of the most successful people I know, I said, what are two things that have made you successful? He said, staying open to influence and surrounding myself with people better than me and more intelligent than me. And everybody who's more intelligent than me, more successful than me, their
Hmm.
focus is cryptocurrency and blockchain technology, how the
Hmm.
secure transfer of data is going to change the world, the speed in which you can verify transactions. So that's a big interest of mine. And then
Hmm.
also too, just looking forward to more change. I mean, I think especially we talk financial literacy is a great way to talk about, social justice. Does somebody who commits a $500 crime, are they worth $35,000 in our tax money? I don't know. Let's talk about it. Does it sound logical? So I continue to want to make a difference for those who've made a mistake in a nonviolent way and continue to use financial literacy, money, and my experience to learn, grow, and seek new frontiers.
That's fantastic. Like I said, there are so many little rabbit holes we could go down with this conversation. And um, so this one might we didn't prompt you for this one, but or prepare you for it, but you're pretty quick on your toes, I think. So so this is the Good Deeds Note Investing podcast. Um, can you think of a good deed that you've done either in your professional NFL career, but maybe even more importantly, post NFL, working with friends or family or somebody on the financial side of things, or somebody somehow that you've helped somebody out?
Yeah, well, first and foremost in the NFL, I led with an example. We had a teammate the year we won Super Bowl 50 that wasn't playing his best, and coaches screamed at him on the field, players screamed at him on the field. None of us do well, by the way, when we're embarrassed and being screamed at. That doesn't, you don't want to work harder at
Sure.
that moment, right?
No.
So I walked up to him and said, "Hey, man, when I was your age, I made 1 to 3 mistakes a game, and then I started feverishly taking notes, and I made 1 to 3 mistakes a year." And the next morning, he showed up with a pen and paper and was writing down notes, and we won the Super Bowl. So, that's something that, as a leader, I engaged with somebody who my success depended on his success, gave him an example instead of telling him what to do. Leading by example is a
Mhm.
lazy way to lead. You don't give any context. You miss the opportunity to connect and show vulnerability. Tell somebody how you overcame a similar obstacle to grow. And then one of the biggest things, I'm Muslim, and one of the sayings in Islam is, one of the greatest charities you can give is a smile. So
Mm.
I'm a big smile and hi guy.
Mm.
Hi, good to see you. Hey, good morning. It's one of those
That's
things
really
that even
good.
if you're not in that mood, and I've had, I've started many great relationships I have to this day just by simply smiling and saying hi.
Hmm.
And,
Yeah,
and really, encouraging people to enjoy the day you have and enjoy
that's
the opportunity you have to win, to follow up on your goals and intentions and celebrate every win. So go and enjoy it.
it's fantastic. I think over the last couple years across the country, we could use another smile or two, right? I think that could
Hey,
go a long
amen.
way. So that's really good. Yeah, I mean, we normally ask for a note and bolt, a little nugget, as far as something somebody may not have learned in a training program or something like that. You've dropped, I'd say, over 10 already. So does anything else come to mind that you want to share with the audience?
Now, just continue to try something new, whether it's leadership, whether it's finding a way to do a good deed, whether it's helping somebody, find something new. Many
Mhm.
of us in relationships wouldn't like going to the same restaurant every single date, right? But that's what we do in our professional lives once we find success.
Hmm.
Keep reaching, learn something new, connect yourself to new communities, and watch your possibilities grow.
That's really, really good. Now, you mentioned your book. Do you want to mention that again?
Yeah, you can check out my book, Mindset for Mastery. It's available on Amazon.com. Check me out, RyanHarris68.com. You can check me out in the crypto world, RyanHarris.eth, because I got the DApp. Still don't know
Oh,
what that
nice.
means, by the way, Jamie, but I believe it's a great and easier way to collect crypto transactions without having that long 09EB76, line. So, but check me out on Instagram at RyanHarris_68. I'm on Peloton, Django_68. Come get these quads, bro. And but other than that, I'm a resource for anybody who wants
Nice.
to learn and grow, and I'm here for you.
Awesome. I just followed you on Twitter about 45 minutes ago, so look forward to interacting. You already covered where people can find out more about you. Ryan, this has been fantastic. Yeah, I think we've covered so many key points. I love the mindset, the taking ownership, the financial literacy, and just the growth mindset, positive attitude, leading by example, but also, with humble confidence, and listening. And tried to listen this whole episode and spit back much of what you said, but man, I think I need to listen to this one again. This is really good. So thanks a lot, Ryan. I really appreciate you coming on. And for the listeners out there, don't forget to go out and do some good deeds. Take care, everyone.